to What You See is What You Get. My name is Ed O'Connor. I'm president and founder of Simulcast Solutions. This video is going to focus on the audio PTT distribution products from Convex Corporation. Distributing audio is important in a simulcast radio system because we need to present the exact same audio without any phase distortions or level changes to all the multiplexes or devices that are distributing the signal throughout to the road sites. PTT control is important because we do like PTT controlled transmitters better than EIA ketone controlled transmitters. And also it's important during startup phases to be able to individually key transmitters 2 at a time, 3 at a time, in order to try and locate where the problems are, for example, if wires have been reversed. On the particular products we're about to talk about, the data sheets, manuals, and application notes are available at www.simulcastsolutions.com. Convex has two product offerings in this field that are standalone devices, the Model 2241A and the Model 2240A. The 2241A is a 24 output device that's in effect a configured device that is not remotely controllable. It distributes audio and PTT and is under $3,000. The 2240A is a 12 output device that does in fact allow for control via its IP port. That device is under $2,500. Both devices are 1 rack unit high, 19-inch rack mountable, and about 10 inches deep. Power choices include AC, 12 volts DC, 24 volts DC, or 48 volts DC. Power must be specified at time of ordering. That's not field selectable. The operating temperature range is -30 to +60 degrees, and both these devices have Telco 50-pin connectors for their input-output devices. Going to the 2241A first, the 2241A accepts 16 inputs, 8 primary and 8 summed inputs. So it's essentially an 8-input device, but you can actually have 2 inputs, 2 physical inputs per virtual input. There are 24 outputs to the device. The frequency response is 4 Hz to 5,000 Hz. That allows it to both sum and pass CTCSS and digital CTCSS. The auto routing is selected, which is selected is also used for the PTT control and the PTT routing. As far as E&M and PTT control go, you're allowed to use type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as well as TTL and Digitac E&M PTT control. On the device, there are in fact 24 individually lighted front panel switches, which allow you to individually key or dekey each of the transmitters. So the positions, the center position of the switch is normal, up is hard key, down is dekey. For the 2240A, which is a 12 output device, that has LAN control. In addition to all the 2241A features I just described, okay, you can use Telnet in order to tell which output to key and which output to disable. There are individual level adjustments on all the inputs and outputs. There are multi-turn pots on the front. There are front panel jacks for monitoring the audio levels and content on each of the 4 internal audio buses which go to the outputs. The 12 individually lighted front panel PTT switches let you know whether you have keyed it, unkeyed it, or have it in the normal position. Additionally, the audio inputs can be muted based on a PTT input. There is a variant of the 2240A, the 2240A-2. In that device, 4 inputs are pre-emphasized. You have the ability to mount 2 internal, either CTCSS or digital CTCSS generators. there is limiting on the outputs. So in effect, this can take the place of a Motorola C-Sky in a simulcast radio system. This is a Convex model 2240A audio distribution amp. We'll now go through the front panel and rear panel to show you what it actually looks like. On the front, you get to see the status of the two power supplies, main and backup supply. There are in fact two power supplies inside, so in case one power supply fails, the unit continues on the other power supply. The output section, then the input section of the other front panel information and controls. On the output section, there are 12 individual switches. It's a 3-position toggle switch. Normal is in the center section, so whether the input is keyed or unkeyed, that just passes through. If you move the switch up, it turns red, that's a hard key. If you put the switch in the down position, that turns red again, and that's an unkey condition. So essentially this allows you individual control of the outputs themselves. That's PTT side. Also, between all these switches, there are multi-turn pots, so you can adjust the level of each output individually. So there are 12 outputs on the device with individual PTT and level control. There are also 12 inputs on the device. You're allowed to individually adjust each input using another multi-turn pot on the front. There's also a monitor jack, which allows you to look at the output bus so you can make sure you know what's getting through the input circuitry and going out the outputs on the back. If I turn around to the rear of the instrument, okay, in this case, this is an AC supplied unit, and there in fact are 2 fuses, one for each of your power supply. If in fact you had a DC supplied unit, there would be 2 sets of DC terminals here and individual fuses, one for each of the connectors. You have your LAN port, which allows you to telnet in and control the outputs of the device. And there are 2 telco 50-pin connectors. In this device, the 2240A, there's a PTT connector and an audio connector. If in fact, and this by the way has 12 output circuits again, if in fact this was a 2241A, there would have been 2 PTT connectors, an input connector and an output connector, and 2 audio connectors, an input and an output connector. That covers the front and rear panel of the device. You can actually see more of this on the data sheet and manual. In closing, Convex has manufactured audio distribution products since the 70s. They've designed and developed audio equalizers and bridges since that point in time. Convex is based outside of Washington, D.C. If you need support on products you have, please contact them at area code 704-433-9901. Thank you.